Richard, is one of the fellow builders in the club. So the builders, we're trying to hang together, trying to keep balsa wood alive and keep growing those trees. And so when Richard started talking about his big wing, I got very interested.
Alarm.
Okay. So I thought he'd be good to bring him in and just give us a view of this very impressive project he's been working on. And it's been fun to see it at Independence. So we wanted to get an update on how it's working and how you came about doing this. Thanks.
So Kyle asked me to do this last week, and so I'm not very well prepared, but I tried this. I put a bunch of stuff together, and this is stuff that I did a long time ago, over 20 years ago. So I guess I wanted to start out with some other pictures there. The introduction pictures that you had, the first set.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
No.
That's me.
Oh, nice.
So that's why I'm here right now.
That's
Hey,
yes.
that's my Winfrey. In fact, this is back in the 70s, and I'm probably, I don't know how old I look.
15.
15.
So I built the Winfrey. My father was really supportive.
I recognize it behind.
Yeah, I blew a couple of those up.
Yeah, so this is where it all starts, where I've been building models since I was really young, and I kind of got out of it for a long time. And then back in the 90s, I got this idea that I was flying all these power planes. I had a Spitfire and all these planes, and I go, yeah, I want to take some aerial photography. I'm going to need to, so I went and tried to find an airplane that I could use to do it. And I couldn't find anything. I went to the hobby stores, and they didn't even, this is like in 1990, and they didn't have anything in the hobby stores. Matter of fact, they didn't even have a glider kit in the hobby stores. And it's been a long time since I tried to do that, so I just said, well, I guess I'm just going to have to build my own. And I just had to come up with a plan. So the first thing I needed to figure out to do, why don't you show the next pictures there while I'm talking. So this is at Sunset Beach. Kind of jumping around on my plan here. And that is a windward, I think. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a great flying plane.
Oh, that's. Should I go to the camera one?
Yeah, that was a great flying plane, the Winfrey. Yeah. And it was amazing.
Should I go to the camera pictures?
So we jump back to the first picture we had on there.
Oh.
Or when we first had it up. So a little pause here. Uh-oh, you're getting out of sequence.
That was
The camera glider book photos. So this picture here was taken at Sunset State Beach. And, wait till we get back up there.
Wow. No wonder they're using that.
All my surprises are being
Really?
That's not enough.
That looks like a camera from that operator.
Sorry. Let's keep talking. I'll.
all right. There we go.
See the right sequence.
So, sorry about the pause there. No.
There you go.
So I kept a flight log. I thought I would do that to kind of keep track of what I did way back then. So that picture of that we're waiting for will come up any minute now.
Hey, Rich, can you crack a coconut?
Yeah, I can crack the coconut. Okay. But so a little pause here. Picture means a lot to me, by the way, Kyle.
Yeah.
Use PowerPoint.
It's PowerPoint, yeah.
Next time it's.
I don't know. I talked to him. Yeah, that's a great idea.
sequenced everything, you build it and you just let it run. Or, let's see, there's I think Page's Apple runs Page.
Is that it?
That's the same.
No. That's not it.
So go to picture number 1.
Okay,
There we go. Let's start at the beginning. Okay, so dim the lights a little bit there. This is in August 1991. Now, this glider here was designed to be very simple and easy to build. Some of these kits I was looking at are a lot of work, and so I wanted to design something that was simple and easy to build that I could bring my camera in and take aerial photography with. So I started out with this. It was very basic and straightforward, but it had some really cool features. It had flaps and it had ailerons, and it flew great. But because I was building something that hadn't done in a long time, the wings blew apart after a while. I was in a high thermal and I was coming home and kaboom, one of the wings exploded pretty much and spinning down to the ground. But I did get a lot of really cool pictures with this wing before I built a better wing, and I keep on building better wings. Next picture. And this is at the same Sunset State Beach where I did a little test flight and we're looking. Next picture. That's another picture. That picture. So this is that's the test flight right there. So now there we go. So you can see that this is not a really elaborate structure, but it flew pretty good and it had lots of lift. So this is some of the first aerial photographs, and I had a cheap camera mounted in the fuselage underneath the wing, and that's the beach. Yeah, Sunset State Beach. So the next picture. And there I am, standing on the bench. And if some people might remember how that place used to be. And it's changed a lot over the years. Next picture. And another picture of a different angle. It used to be pretty nice to land up there. No fence to dodge, you know. Next picture. And this is over the top of that ridge, looking at the campground sites. So.
Is the hole in the side of the fuselage?
Okay, now we're in a different area here, and this is Mission Peak.
Mission Peak, yeah.
And this was on July 1992, and that is a great thermal place to fly. And I have some really good pictures over there. Next picture, next slide. So there's some of the, get some altitude there. So now we're going to the, that's Mission Peak. Next picture.
Yeah. We're going to need to reopen it. So that was it for camera. Do we want to go? Which one do you want to do next?
The next one.
The next picture in that order.
Now we're in the camera glider?
Oh, okay. Here.
You'll be number 11.
No. Back up.
There we go, 11. There we go. So I got this.
Double click it.
It's a Mac, it's a double click.
Double click.
So I got this idea that I'll get some really high pictures. So I went out to this site over in Fremont, which was called Bayside RC Club. And this was the last time I flew a powered aircraft. I really think so. I'm trying to think about it. I had a KMB-40 mounted in front of the wing on top of the fuselage. and I had a big gas tank, but everybody's crowded around waiting for me to fly, and there was something wrong with the throttle linkage. So I ended up setting the throttle where I thought it was good, and then someone walked up to me, oh no, you need more. You know, get a little bit more. So it took off, very nice, down the runway, perfectly level, and it went up. Next picture. As you can see, it was flying great. And next picture. Until,
Oh, no.
That's a novelty.
so,
It's a feature.
yeah, as you can see, the wing broke and came down. So, there we go. Not to be discouraged. So the camera survived the crash, and I was able to.
Just bayside.
Yeah.
So that picture there, I think, was taken with a telescope a friend of mine had, and he said, "Oh, I can do that." So from Mission Peak area. So this
Sunset.
is on March 1993 at Sunset Beach again, and with the camera fixed and working a lot better. Next picture. There's another one there. I thought people might like to see that. Well, this is what I have in my book, so it's in this order. This is at Davenport, Big Creek Lumber Company. This is March of 1993. And that's the runway folks were talking about earlier, the end of it. And that was a cool place.
Back to Mission Peak.
So this is my new wing that I was telling you about, a newer wing that I built. And that's a 12-foot wingspan. And it flew really good until it broke. I don't know, I had that in my book because that's such a good picture of a cow. No, not taken from an airplane. Okay, as you see,
A little more confidence.
a lot more ribs, a lot more structure, a lot more torsional reinforcement. I believe that is I think it's still a 12-foot span. It might be my 14-foot span. I did not keep a record of that. This is a long time ago. This is 20 years ago. And this is in March 1993, and that was taken at Mission Peak. So those wings blew up on a return trip home too, by the way. Yeah, but I did get a lot of pictures with those wings.
Wow.
And so these pictures here are probably the highest altitude pictures that I took. And this is showing Fremont.
Where were you standing when you took those? Were you standing where we fly now, or were you somewhere else?
Down on the lower part of the slope.
Huh.
Yeah, down on the ridge. So well, you go back right there. I really dig this picture because
That's high.
I'm way above the ridge, you know.
Yeah.
Really above the
The peak is on the
Familiar.
far right. Jeez.
With the upper right corner there,
Yeah,
the
that's-
upper ridge, and then there's one more. It's pretty much top there.
Yeah, you were up there.
It was about 5 times the FAA.
Oh, yeah. And just obviously I'm stalling or tipping because the picture should be level, but when the plane's really up high up there and you're kind of bouncing around, you know, control is not perfect. This picture here is Morgan Hill, and this was
The flying.
Sailplane Sword Society
Right.
was there, and I brought my glider up down, did some flying with the club. And there's another picture there of that. Okay, so now we're at the build part here. It's just a little bit. These are my plans that I have, and this is pretty much showing part of the layout of the wings. Really simple, straightforward. I was trying to build wings without any sheeting. I don't like sheeting wings. It's a lot of work. I like doing it, but there's a lot of torsional strength that you get from sheeting. So this one is my 14-foot wing, and it blew up. When I say blew up, it's just you're coming in, you're downwind in a thermal, and you got to come home. And you kind of dive a little bit, and you're going fast, and you're really high. And all of a sudden,
You get fluttered.
just a
Yeah,
flutter,
flutter,
and
yeah.
it just and bang, yeah, and bang. Although you don't see anything except for this thing twirling around. I was really proud of that wing. I thought it's actually flew really good, and it's still a good design. It could use some fine tuning.
It's a cheating.
Yeah. So, yeah,
The soda cans, that's a,
I don't use any pins. I just use weights when I build for holding anything on the table. Okay, next slide. This is Coyote Hills. And those are my 14-foot wings, I believe. And a conventional tail. And that's in January '94.
Wow.
And that's the scenery.
this part.
And this picture here is a good picture because it shows the camera, where the camera protrudes on the side of the fuselage underneath the wing. And the straightforward design. The plane I have here is the exact same plane. The fuselage has been rounded, but it's the same exact fuselage. And modified, and there's parts of the wood that have been replaced, but the soul of it's still there.
And why the V-tail? Why switching to V-tail?
I thought it was cool,
It's cool.
to do something different like that. You know, I thought it'd be a little more modern, more efficient, you know, it's all good. And the radio that I had, I got a new radio, new Airtronics at the time, and it had the mixing for the V-tail. And I thought, whoa, this is cool, I want to do a V-tail, you know. I thought it would save a little bit of weight on the tail, which it did. That's showing the runway at Davenport.
There's a runway.
Big Creek Lumber Company, and you can see that it really is a lumber company in the background on the other side of the road.
Yeah, that's impressive.
You know, and
See that big one.
so good. Yeah. There I'm standing in the next picture. Yeah. You're not supposed to fly on the other side of the road.
On purpose.
It's like,
Wow.
that is Curtis School. And
As it was.
Let's see, the school's on the left.
Yeah,
That's what it looked
that's
like.
Curtis back in the days.
Boy, that win.
Yeah,
Go
we
back.
didn't have-
Yeah.
Where are we here? Give me the
The
perspective.
dirt area you see there at the back is where the parking lot is now.
on the line for you.
Oh, that's where we parked.
That's the parking lot,
Flew in this direction.
flew this way.
Yeah.
matter of fact, you
The
can
dirt, the
see
dirt over
on the
there,
right corner of the picture, you can see people standing there and the winch set up probably.
yeah.
Oh,
The dirt you see there is probably where the parking
Park,
lot, parking lot for the apartments is.
parking lot,
For the apartments.
apartment's right
A
there.
lot of
Right.
development kind of messed up that field. It used to
See, I
be a
never
place.
flew there when it was open
Yeah,
like
this is
that.
this is what it looked like.
That's when I used to play.
Yeah, that's how it was. when I was-
Yeah, a lot more friendly.
Way back when.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
I'm,
it was the wide open spaces
Yeah.
back then. We'd easily set 4 winches across there.
Yeah.
We had a regional LSF contest there a couple of times.
you're thinking was Blackbird.
Thank you.
That's right.
That's correct.
so I'm not going to go through everything here because it's probably going to take too much time, but I will read, I guess, a little excerpt I wrote. This is my flight log of February 13th, 1994. Saturday at Curtis, I set up my newly made 12-volt winch for testing. I discovered that using the flaps on my glider helped during the tow up much better than I had anticipated. I was able to get a decent tow out of the 12-volt battery. The flight lasted about 50 minutes to 30 minutes. I had a difficult time retrieving the tow line, broke onto the spool on the winch because the battery was low, okay. So I kept a log of all this stuff. I probably shouldn't read all this stuff, it's kind of boring. But this here, that day there was the first day I flew over an hour. And so I was kind of proud of that. Next picture. So these are some of the pictures
That's looking, that's looking down the direction of launch.
Yeah.
That's where
That's going from the
the
other
farmer's
direction,
yeah.
thing is on the left
Yeah.
there, yeah.
Yep, that was the only, at
It's
one
all
time,
the
at
same.
one time,
Looks
that
nothing
wasn't
like
there.
that now.
Yeah. Definitely the good old days.
It really was.
Oh,
That's
So
more like
this-
it now.
picture here, we're going to hit this,
Blackford?
I believe is Rogers Middle School. This is February 27th, 1994. And the story behind that, going there, was I went to Curtis, and there was a soccer game. I went to another school, there was a soccer game.
Yeah.
And so I went to a gas station, I have in my log here, I read that, and I got a road map, and I started looking at all the neighborhood schools. I go, well, this one looks like it's in a good, you know, I went there, and I had a great flight.
Can you go back one more to that one?
General area, where is it?
It's between Lawrence and Saratoga Ave on
Yeah.
From Doyle?
Doyle Drive.
You can go
Guys
forward.
feel prospecting this.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So as you can see,
Thank you.
I drift downwind quite a bit.
You did. Yeah.
And somehow I make it back. And that's part of the thing with having a wing that doesn't break. Important not to push it too much.
The,
So you got good clouds though.
So I got some really good tunneling that day.
yeah, nice.
Springtime? Is that springtime?
This is February.
Yeah.
Okay, here now this picture here
Windy Hill.
is Windy Hill. And Spring Ridge, Skyline Boulevard. This was March. And usually you see hang glider guys flying over there, I think.
Yeah.
And I said, you know, I came by and I saw somebody hang gliding, and it was, I don't know, I don't remember, it was a long time ago, but I remember looking over that ridge and down and seeing all those trees and houses down below, thinking, you know, am I going to crash my plane into and not be able to get it back? But, you know, it just took off, and I had a great flight. There's a picture that you can see
Yeah.
where you have to land if you don't make it back. And this is showing the V-tail conversion that I did.
That's Coyote.
Is that this Sailplane?
And this is Coyote Hills. I think this is Coyote Hills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this
Is this
is
the same plane?
the same plane. I just keep on modifying it. And this is some of the last pictures I took back in October of '94.
Yeah, the V-tail does it. It does
Sunset.
pretty sweet. But that's a good looking plane.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So this is with the 16-foot wings now. And that was before I cracked that up on the winch. These are new pictures here. So I took these pictures here
Stop.
in May 30th, with my with the new wings and everything on my glider. So I thought I'd throw some, and there's my new glider wings. So I just keep on rebuilding it and coming up with different designs.
Round red fuselage.
And I like these wings a lot because I put a lot of things that I've learned into these wings. I have flaps, I got dual ailerons, I got ailerons on the tip, so I can control the tips independently of the overall camber of the wing.
It's got a D-tube.
Yeah, good sheet.
I got a lot more structure in
Some
there,
sheeting.
a lot more sheeting, a little bit more work, but there's tricks to building it that make it build fast. I built these wings in 3 months, in less than 3 months, but there's some stuff that when you get them done, you gotta deal with things. The first time I flew it, I had a steel rod to support the wings, and I bent it. And so I got a hardened steel rod, and it's flying great now. The simplicity of the design is so that you can access the camera that's underneath the wings, and it's hard to change it. It just works really good. So I guess that kind of concludes my presentation.
Nice.
Thank you, Richard.
Very good. Very good.